Well, here we are.
Cheers.
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 Cheers!
Cheers. Clink, clink, clink.
So,
Back again!
every time you do it, it gets a little bit less enthusiastic.
Back again. We're doing this again, are we?
So, here we are in the Hombu Dojo.
With our regular guest now. He's a regular.
Scott Langley
Back
Sensei.
by popular demand.
Actually, your last episode did really badly. So we're if you can up the game a little bit this time. If you could, no, you may not punch me on the podcast.
You should see the states of my arm, by the way, from that stiletto punch that you threw. Hold on till I get this out.
Oh, Jesus.
States of Those of you listening, my arm has a black hole.
It looks like the whole of Uranus.
It's the perfect circular golf ball sized bruise.
Yeah, is that right? That's pretty,
The size of those two knuckles.
It's like I've been hit by a rubber bullet or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done some kumite this week. Oh. But yeah, so we've just finished our the first day of a 2-day seminar. Very successful.
Zoom seminar.
Zoom
Just for those of you listening in the far distant future, when
Zoom.
you're back in the dojo.
Or listening now and then criticising us that we're training together. That's not COVID compliant.
Yeah, all you people out there, me.
We're
That's what you
professional
sound
athletes,
like.
we're allowed to.
Exactly.
I'm about to take a photo. Go and chat. But yeah, very, very successful. Happy with how the day went today, Sensei?
Yeah, it's good.
Sensei taught a very dynamic kind of kumite combos class with emphasis on twisting.
My favourite.
Right?
My
Using the
favourite
stretch
kind of class.
shorten. Torque, that's it.
Torque. Going against what you normally teach, which I liked.
Yeah,
Normally you're very dogmatic about not letting
I'm
things swing.
dogmatic.
Very dogmatic.
I am dogmatic in my approach to training the body and how to get the most out of it, and then you can be free.
Oh, so you are dogmatic.
In training of your body. When you go to the gym and you do weights, can you just kind of lift weights above your head and then you hold fast?
That's a very good
Just
point.
throw them up there, whatever way. I just lift them off the rack and put them down again.
That's too heavy for me.
I stare at them for a while and then just go on my phone.
Well, that's training the other. That's turning the other wheel, like Rick Jackson Sensei told us. But we'll get to that later. So we had dynamic, jumpy up and downy, punchy kicky Scott Sensei class, and then we had kata class with Stuart Amos Sensei. Still relatively new to the HDKI.
But he done a good job, a very in-depth breakdown of Gion, which was very good. Fit that into 45 minutes is tough going, so he done well.
Fair play to him.
And you know, we very much do. Obviously, you have to be on guard against the opinions you form living in a bubble, because he was teaching stuff, and I was like, how does he know that? That's what Scott teaches. Other people don't know that. I was like, that's really good because that's what Scott teaches. That's the same thing. How you shouldn't? He comes from the KUGB. They don't do it that way. Yeah, I'm one of those pricks who thinks that their organisation does it the best and nobody else does.
A snob, karate snob.
Karate snob, big time. Yeah. And then we had a bit of turning the other wheel.
The most stressful meditation session you can have, in my opinion. Rick Jackson Sensei's meditation.
Well, it was a bit difficult because so he started talking and then someone called Noah had their mic on. Don't know who that was. And so I had to kind of...
Whoever you are, Noah, idiot.
I had to crawl across the
crawl across the door.
I didn't say so. I was like, oh God. And then so I went back and then Simon Sensei's mic came on and Boo, his dog, was like, and I was like, oh God, so let's go back and mute him and then come back. And then halfway through the proper meditation, I had this bing and I looked up and my laptop hadn't been powered up, hadn't been plugged in for the entire time. It was like you have 30 seconds before the whole of this Zoom seminar will be cut dead because I was the host. I was like, we're trying to stick my plug in and oh God. So yeah, it wasn't particularly mindful.
No, and you felt that energy, that stress energy, seeped into my peaceful mind. Ruined my meditation. It did.
No, but that's what you need, that conflict and that friction, and then you deal with it.
Friction.
That's what Sensei was saying.
That's a really nice thing, friction.
Yeah.
So just give us a little, give the people a little sort of rundown of what he was talking about in terms of friction.
Why are you looking at me?
Because
I'll
we will not do it justice. We will not do it justice. We are a couple of ball bags I will butcher it.
Well, what I took from it, like the thing about Rick is that whatever he says, I think I don't know if he purposely does it ambiguously, but it always is open to interpretation. So anybody I've ever spoken to about his kind of sessions, and I'll say, oh yeah, he said that, and anybody that you speak to has a different interpretation of what he means. So my interpretation of friction is a bit like, do you know catfish? You know, I know not the actual fish, but this catfish.
The online phenomenon.
The online phenomenon.
Pretending to be someone you're not.
Yeah, and why it's called catfish.
I used to know, but I forget. Explain to the people.
Okay, so there's a reason why catfish are called catfish, because they used to ship salmon, wild sea salmon, from Alaska down to America in the hull of a ship. And so they'd catch all these salmon, they'd stick them in the hull, and they'd literally ship them down. But by the time they got there, they were basically turned into mush because they just didn't swim about and they didn't do anything. Because
wait, were the fish alive?
the fish were alive in the hull of the ship.
Oh, right.
But like in that darkness and in that kind of environment,
Yeah.
they just completely switched off.
Uh-huh.
And so they found that if they got the fish, stick them in the hull, and then they also put catfish into the hull, and the catfish constantly were trying to nip at the salmon and eat them.
Oh, right.
And so the salmon were constantly swimming away. And so it comes from a documentary called Catfish, which is where it comes from. And there's this old timer guy going, well, you know, you need catfish in your life because, and he explained that story, he says, you know, and then you get catfish in your life, which keeps you nipping at your heels and keeps you alive, you know, keeps you kind of moving and keeps you kind of on your toes. And so when Rick Sensei was talking about friction today, that's what it reminded me of, that you need that kind of thing to keep on challenging you to make sure that it's not easy.
The only problem is you get catfish inside your tinned tuna then.
Salmon. I'm talking about salmon.
Oh, salmon. You get catfish fillets.
You're my catfish.
You get catfish inside your salmon fillets. No?
No, they don't actually.
Do you think somebody's going through like, oh, that one's a catfish, throw that one out, oh, there's a good salmon.
Of course! So they're all in the hull, captive.
Yeah.
They take them out the hull and they go, well, that's big and ugly and got whiskers, out. That's lovely and got spots and looks like a salmon.
Do you think that they hire and pay some ball bags a minimum wage to go down there and separate the catfish from the salmon?
They pay people minimum wage to separate garbage as it goes past a conveyor belt. So yes.
That's because everybody cares so much about the environment and recycling and stuff. Nobody cares as long as they can keep making money off of selling their salmons if there's a bit of catfish in there.
Okay.
But they sell them as a whole fish, though.
No, sometimes they're packaged as fillet.
But they sell a salmon.
I suppose
as a whole salmon.
a catfish fillet probably doesn't look like a salmon fillet.
You'll be able to tell straight away.
Send us a message, folks.
We're very off topic now. But yeah, I always find it funny with Rick's sessions because obviously he's at such a stage in his karate journey that it's very out there, and the things that he talks about are very, like you say, open to interpretation. So you know, wee ball bag like myself kind of goes, what? Like, so I took friction as like you need, like he was talking a lot about how you need to it's the days when you don't want to train. Those are the really important days that you have to force yourself to train, and you need to get yourself to that mindset, that point where you're doing something despite all the reasons you have for not doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that that was it's always very motivating. But then the meditation afterwards, it always seems disconnected to me. I can never like have his excellent talk at the start and then the mindfulness come together. It's always very much excellent talk at the start, And then I don't know. I just thought.
But that's the difference between implicit and explicit, right? So he can tell you that stuff, and I'm sure, like, we all experience it to a different level. He tells you, you go, that's genius, that's amazing. But could you repeat? Like, he came up with some corkers today, right? Like, that was really nice. But like, can we ever remember them? No, because they're fleeting, and because he tells it to us, we kind of learn it explicitly, and we don't know it implicitly. Whereas the sitting, the meditation, the mindfulness is giving you an ability to learn implicitly. And so, yeah, mindfulness and all that kind of jazz is something that you have to arrive at rather than just be told about.
Us.
Yeah. Do you think that that a lot of the mindfulness of karate has been lost over the years? Do you think it's that? Is it something that you wish was more in the limelight of the modern karate world?
No, because then the problem with that is then you get kind of guru-like people, right? And so you got to be super careful that you don't start. Like, Rick Sensei is not teaching this. He's showing you a way. He's showing you his way. He's demonstrating his way. He's kind of giving you a lighthouse to kind of reference as you go along your journey. But he's not teaching it. And the problem is that when it becomes explicitly taught, then it loses everything that it ought to be. And so, I mean, he like he said today, he says he's met quite many high-profile karate instructors who have never turned the other wheel and never kind of worked on this, and so are completely ego-driven. And he said a very interesting thing about, karate is training the body, and the more, if you only do karate, you only train the ego. And he says he's met people who've been training 40, 50, 60 years who have only ever trained the ego. I thought it was a really interesting point. So, and he was specifically saying we need this type of training more in our daily life. But at no point has he ever said, and I'm the one who should lead that.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's the opposite, in fact. Like, so many times he's saying, you should find your own routine, you should find your own method, you should do it alone, by yourself, find your way. And so I think if it becomes, certainly the message should be there more widespread, but if the practice of it as a group is more widespread, then you get a leader, and I think that's
the opposite
of what he's talking about here.
He said a really nice thing to you at the end when he was wrapping up and finishing. He said, if we've got one person to sit down through this, then we've made a
who's never sat before.
Who's never sat before, then this is the way, or there's some Mandalorian quote or something.
Yeah,
he said very cool though. I was like,
he said something very cool. He said something cool. I can't remember what it was.
At the beginning though, he was saying, because he obviously just jogged on before when Stuart was finishing his class, and Stuart got us all to do Gion, like, I want you to do it as the strongest and fastest that you've ever done, the best you've ever done. And Rick Sensei was saying, well, obviously I watched you all do that. He says, but what you don't realise is that that's the only Gion you've ever done. And he says, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does that
mean? He said it, then leaned back, turned his head slightly and went, I'll leave it at that. You think about that for yourselves now.
Dropped a little bomb. Like,
yeah.
But there's also like a little cheeky smile there as well. Though. It's like,
that one's going to have them thinking. Maybe that's just something Buddhist teachers do to make us think that they're all grand and mystical.
So what do you think it means?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, something about time and space being a construct or something, the best one you've ever done is the only one you've ever done because you've always been doing that one because nothing ever happens in the past or in the future. It all shouldn't happen anything.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
2,000 years of learning right there.
Yep.
What do you think it means?
Yeah, I got from that he meant that there is no past, there is no future, there is only now, and now is continuous, and everything future and past is a construct. So yeah, a bit like what Rue said, but
so exactly what I said.
A little bit more respectful,
Blah blah blah. Time is a construct. It's all in your head.
If fundamental construct, fundamental element of reality is consciousness.
Oh,
So my best Gion is your best Gion.
that's
Your worst Gion is my worst Gion. We are all just kind of sprouting kind of elements of consciousness, of the consciousness.
which is yes, and we are all part of the cosmic unity, right? So your Sochin is my Sochin. So really, my training is complete.
Speaking of Sochin, it's been 8 years. 8 years almost to the day.
On Paddy's Day.
On Paddy's Day. On Paddy's Day that you got your Rokudan. Last time you graded. And you put lovely video.
The last and only time that I will grade.
And a lovely video of yourself doing Sochin for your grading. And when you look at that video, do you see yourself, or is that like, have you progressed to something completely different? Do you look at that and go, Christ, that was good back then? Or do you just look at it and go, that's still the exact same way I do it? Or when you look at it, what do you think?
Well, I thought when I was doing the double punches, my hip wasn't even, didn't rotate evenly.
Did one side come up?
It was a bit kind of...
Shoulder came up as well. I was back in the shoulder up days.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't really think much more of it. I thought, well, I mean, objective, like, a lot of people said, oh, that's really good. I was like, okay, yeah, maybe. I mean, remember it not feeling particularly good because I was doing it, grading situation. It's never going to be a perfect kind of situation, is it? And also, Kagawa Sensei obviously was the examiner, and also every single senior member of the JKS, GB, and Ireland, and quite a lot of European heads were there going, right, go on then, prove yourself. And I'd literally just come off the floor teaching. I was teaching because it was a really busy seminar, so Kagawa Sensei and I taught it together, and we'd split it, and so he'd done the morning, and blah blah blah. We'd split the class, and so I'd literally just come off teaching the adult, the senior grades, like the third dans and above, and no one knew I was grading, and it's like, okay, those who are grading, line up, and of course most people just expected me to go and sit next to Kagawa, and I went and stood up and lined up, and there was like a ooh in the dojo, and so yeah, then I did it. Yeah. I mean, I think I can probably do it just as well.
If someone did it that way in front of you grading for Rokudan, would you pass them?
Yeah. Kagawa Sensei gave me a 6.5 or a 7 out of... I've never seen him give more than 6. I mean, I didn't know. Paul Giandrea told me afterwards that because Paul was sat next to him, and he said, he gave you, I think maybe a 6.5. For your cat. I was like, oh really? Normally 5 is a pass.
But did he give you a hug afterwards?
No, of course he didn't.
See, that's more important. The hug you get from your sensei. Yeah. That's what I get when I pass a grade. Nidan pass Osbao and then a big hug afterwards.
Luckily, those hugs get years and years apart from now on.
Scott Sensei's a big softie.
Yeah. I love a grading. Like I think there's like Denmark gradings in particular, when it's a big group of people kind of sort of put off, like even though they're due, they kind of hold off to ramp up towards that camp. And I think that when you see like that many like high level guys on the floor all at once, all like giving it socks, like man, makes me tingly.
I think all that kind of stuff, though, the pleasure is cathartic. Yeah, the pleasure is the aftermath of it all.
Yeah,
it's the God, I no longer feel sick.
Yeah.
I no longer want to throw up.
Yeah.
I no longer have zero energy in any of my limbs, and now I can drink.
Yeah.
Only to feel sick after the morning.
It's like that perfect, like Speedball is like cocaine and heroin together, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like alcohol and adrenaline.
Yeah.
And your body's going, yeah, and then you drink it to go, ooh, and you're like, yeah, that's the best I've ever felt is after winning the World Championships. in Moscow, and someone had filled up. I had this massive cup, and someone had filled it with champagne, and I was like drinking it, and like just the whole nerves and the whole everything kind of building up to that, and then getting really drunk. Amazing.
That's cool. Adrenaline plus alcohol. Hell of a concoction.
Oh, brilliant! But speaking of Denmark, we've got our first, I think, official karate adventure set up for post-COVID. Yeah, we're going to Mauritius.
For those of you who don't know, Mauritius is a tropical paradise island in the Indian Ocean, and these couple of ball bags here, it is in the Indian Ocean. What are you looking at me like that for?
Okay.
I didn't know what ocean it was in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it is in the Indian Ocean.
Okay.
You study geography, you should know.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, no, you're acting weird about me bringing up the Indian Ocean. I don't like it.
But
I
yeah,
thought you were going to be racist again.
No, I am not racist. And anyway, these couple of ball bags are going down there with a group of karateka for a big karate adventure.
I have to say, it's been long overdue, a karate adventure. And this is a good one to kick it off. Like,
Well, I mean, to be fair though, just before lockdown, we had a karate adventure. Although, yes, you're right, that was an awful long time ago. So,
over a year ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's going to be about 2 years by the time you get to Mauritius.
it'll be just short 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so overdue. But going to Mauritius to do some very serious, hardcore training.
What do you look for in a karate adventure, Ross?
Most importantly is the people. I love the people.
The group you're with.
The group they're with is always important. I think if you don't have a good group, and you normally do, there's always someone that you get on with when you're on these trips, and it's important that you find that someone that you get on with, because when you're there, if you're not getting on with the people you're with, the mood sours a little bit. I think you dampens the mood a little bit. But I've never experienced a bad group before ever. You always get on with people, but the people are always good fun. And just sharing those experiences with those people for me is nice. And then the training, of course, good training, hard training is good, because then you can reap the rewards afterwards. That's the thing. You have to earn it, don't you? You got to earn those rewards of being away and abroad, I think.
And what about the instruction? You said hard training, but do you expect some gems or some special kind of doors to be opened?
It depends. Like me and you went to Trieste to train with Paolo and Fulvio and the guys and girls at that dojo, and we knew it was going to be great.
Yeah.
So you go expecting high level training, but like for example, when I've been on trips to Japan with Scott Sensei and sometimes you're kind of the mystique of an instructor, like just because they're Japanese or something doesn't necessarily mean they're a good teacher, and I've been let down by things that I've thought were going to be good, and then pleasantly surprised when all of a sudden someone that you didn't not expecting anything of comes out with a couple gems. So it just depends. I like going to train with Steve Ubel in San Diego, you're expecting the top level of instruction and karate, and that's what you get. But I think you're always pleasantly surprised. You can always be pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm. But it doesn't take away from your enjoyment if the training is just standard.
Because you just train hard regardless. Like.
Okay.
Yeah. And if the group's in the same mindset and you all train hard anyway, then yeah.
Anyway, it's going to be Scott teaching, so should be top level.
Be the same.
I'm going to steal all my ideas from Stuart Amos.
What do you mean? Oh yeah.
So I was referencing what you said before.
Yeah, I got it. You did a good callback. Good callback. Yeah, I'll edit this bit out where we explain the joke.
That's comedy. What do you look for in a karate adventure?
Well, I was talking to someone today, and who shall remain nameless, but saying, oh well, should I travel and teach and like having a karate adventure, but I like if I'm going somewhere, I'm either going on a holiday, or I'm going to learn, or I am working. And so Mauritius will be work. I say that with a straight face.
No, you do not.
So it won't be for me. It won't be a karate adventure in the true sense.
Because you're the one teaching.
Yeah. So for a karate adventure, then it has to be somewhere different, somewhere where you go away, and whatever length of time you've been away, it seems that you've been away 4 times longer. That's a karate adventure.
Yeah.
So when we were at Steve's, like it was literally only Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it seemed like it was like
forever.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
right? It was amazing. So yeah, and like even what was that? That was like it'll be 3 years. 3 years, wasn't it?
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years in this summer. Yeah. And I can still remember very clearly lots of different points about it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What about you, Rue? What do you look for in a karate adventure?
It's I haven't been on that many, but the thing that I always enjoy the most is
The gay bar that you take us to.
Let him finish.
That was a misunderstanding. That was a misunderstanding. And also, it was the only place open. And also, it was fun.
You have comedy Tourette's. You see every line and you can't help yourself. Say it.
He would pause in that second too long. I'm like, oh, God,
Did you have a good night or not?
I was very upset with you for a very...
Because you had to go and be in the same room with a bunch of puffs, is that it?
No, just that we were in Trieste with a bunch of gorgeous Italian women. Everywhere you turned, and we ended up going to a fucking gay bar.
The only place open. It was the only place open.
That's what they all say.
Anyway. Where was I? Oh yeah, it's for me the best thing is learning something new and something that I wasn't like something. So when we went to Paolo's in Trieste, I had no idea. Like I'd heard he was a 9th Dan shortly before going, but then I got there and I was like, "Fuck, this is a 9th Dan," you know. I was like, Jesus, and also had the drastically different approach that he and his group have towards martial arts compared to Shotokan. You know, Makoto Kai, whole new style, whole new system, and the best of it. We didn't just go to some random Makoto Kai dojo where we went to the source. We went to Paolo and Fulvio, and that was amazing. And then Denmark was another one. And the best thing about Denmark was Scott Sensei's 3-part Unsu seminar, and also I think it was my first feeling of like a really good kind of karate community coming together where there was no ill will, there was just goodwill between everybody, no judgment, just good crack. And I passed my grading, big party, got smashed, ended up on the tables swinging a bottle of whiskey around singing songs. So it's a combination of the crack and learning something. But I wouldn't like to go all the way across the world and the training to be, mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even if the beaches are great or whatever.
Yeah, well,
I'll do my best in January.
Well, I won't be there, so do. Yeah.
But yeah, I think what's the if you could think of one highlight of a karate adventure, Scott Sensei, what would be the first one that comes to your mind? Don't think about it. Just go 3, 2, 1.
Shorinji Kempo.
Yeah.
In Japan. I mean, although, like, generally speaking, Japan really isn't much of a karate adventure for me because it's a bit kind of same thing, but like actually recently, over the last number of years, because of events beyond my control, like I'm always constantly looking for a new dojo we're allowed to go to. so that's a bit of an adventure.
The bad boy of Japan.
It's like when Patrick Kavanagh and Luke Kelly met on a bridge over the canal, and they're like, will we go for a pint? Yeah, we'll go into O'Donoghue's. And Patrick Kavanagh goes, I can't, I'm barred. And he goes, we'll go into O'Brien's. And Luke Kelly, I can't, I'm barred. And they list off about 4 different points, and they can't go into any of them because one of them is barred from either of them. And then it's just like, well, you look anyway, good luck, I'll chat to you later. They never went for a pint.
Yeah. So, but last time we were there, the Shorinji Kempo guys were just unbelievably brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great highlight.
Real warrior monks.
Yeah, just decent people. Decent, fit, strong, modest people.
Yeah, they didn't seem to have big swaggery egos.
Not at all. Not at all.
Do you think that's their religious practice?
Well, I think it's impossible to kind of separate one from the other. It's the religious Zen martial practice.
And have you tried to incorporate anything that you saw there into your teaching?
Well, we didn't see that much. There's a few locks and it was a bit aikido. I mean, that like the Shorinji Kempo element of it. Like, I think the Embu stuff that they do, where they have like basically prearranged, kind of very advanced combination sparring demonstration things, I think is really interesting. And it kind of reminded me of like Richard Amos Sensei. He has that that demonstration he sometimes teaches, and you can really get into the flow of that. It's a really nice thing to do. And so I like that, and that's formalized throughout the whole of the Shorinji Kempo. But that really wasn't what I was impressed. I mean, I was impressed by it. They were good, but just that everyone in that place were high level. How did that happen? You know?
Yeah. So like, how would you ever want to have a dojo with that many like athletes in it? Like in the sense like you're saying they were all high level and really fit. Do you think that you would lose the sort of like this dojo has a fantastic sort of camaraderie and community in it? That probably wouldn't happen if every session we were killing ourselves to the point of the people who aren't up for the task drop out, you know?
No, I mean I don't mean that. And what I mean by that is that they were all so good and so humble. And bear in mind, we didn't see that many people to be fair. But what we did see, and like what I have seen, is just really high level, physically good people who are super humble. And to have that many really good, humble people, I think is testament to what they're teaching. So that's what I mean, really. I mean, that's what deeply impressed me was their ability to be good and kind of they wore it very lightly.
The opposite of us.
No, to be fair, like we do it through kind of humor and piss taking and they did it in their own way, but I think it's something that should definitely be emulated in whatever way you need to emulate it in. Like it should be emulated. Wear your talent lightly.
I like that. Yeah. Wear your talent, the inevitable. No, what is it called? The unbearable lightness of talent.
But you were saying you didn't take anything from it and try and incorporate it into classes. But do you do that? Do you think senseis should? Like we talk about progression and experimenting all the time.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, then it's not that I took everything that they were doing. We already did. Like it was classically not Shotokan, but we don't particularly do classic Shotokan karate. So everything that they did was something that we would already do. I mean, they emphasized it a little bit more, and so they did that stretch, shorten cycle a lot of the punch. So it was very much kind of like baseball pitch type of javelin throw type of punch, and we were like, yeah, we do that, which is not Shotokan.
Yeah,
and so that's why I didn't take it on board, simply because other instructors, Paolo Sensei, for example, have already taught us that, and we already practiced that to some extent.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not that I didn't take it on board. We already had it on board.
Yeah. But do you think, like in general, instructors, like, because we talk about, the sort of the times when you're training yourself to kind of experiment with breaking form and not being a slave to the sort of syllabus and things like that. Do you think that senseis should take the chance to experiment with their students in that way, trying teaching things in a different way and seeing how the class sort of copes with it and deals with it? Or do you think that's just inevitably going to slow down everyone's progression and
well, slow down progression to what? To a black belt? I mean, that's the conclusion of that statement,
right,
isn't it? Yeah. So no, I mean, like that's like makes no difference, does it? Like if you're just trying to rapidly get someone to black belt, then you're a McDojo. So that doesn't come into the equation. Yeah, I think it depends who you're teaching, and it depends what you're trying to teach. So what you don't want to do is confuse students. So if you're saying things that are kind of obviously opposite from one day to the next, then probably there's going to be a certain it depends what you're teaching. Like today, I taught about using your upper body to kicks, and like most of the time, I say don't use your upper body to kick. So, but like there was 85 people on the seminar, and the vast majority of them were black belts. So it's like they can understand that it's not that low grades could understand as well, but they could also physically understand, not only conceptually but physically understand that there are different ways to do stuff. But would I teach that class to a bunch of low grades? Absolutely not, because they have to get to a point where they're not using their upper body to kick, and then once they get to that point, then they can use their upper body to kick. So, yeah, for sure, experiment, play about with stuff, try to kind of give everyone as many tools in their kit to kind of produce really good karate. But ultimately, they've got to first learn how to use each tool individually. And once they do that, then they can start messing about with stuff.
Insightful.
Ooh,
Very good.
very good.
We have.
We're not taking the piss. Well, we are a little bit. we ask him loads of questions. He sits there and he gives us everything, all the answers, all the wisdom, and then we go, I know everything.
Look at him and all his knowledge.
Oh, class.
Yeah.
But I think there's food to be had, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
There's food to be had, so I think it might be about that time for a little fail of the week. Fail of the week.
I don't have one
Yes.
yet. Somebody else go.
Sensei has one.
Sensei first.
Well,
Where to begin?
I have a fail of the week, but I'll have to make it as ambiguous as possible.
Nobody will know what you're talking about.
So I thought I was really clever this week.
That's the first mistake right there.
And so I was having to deal with some kind of political maneuverings within the HDKI, and I was trying to make a best choice, and I'm going to keep this exceptionally ambiguous.
Okay.
But I thought I'd made a really good choice, and then I failed to ask the most obvious question, the question that never ever has to be asked because it's so bleedingly obvious. But I didn't ask it, and so I went from being I am so clever, I managed to pull all these things together, and boom, I've got it. It's perfect. It's great. And then 5 minutes later, this person says, "Oh yeah, but by the way," and says something that is so left field that you would never go, "Oh, by the way, are you going to do that?" Because of course you're going to do that. Well, he wasn't, and he fucked everything up.
It made you look a fool.
Made me look a fool, and more importantly, made me deeply apologise to someone else for not only being foolish, but also kind of making a very stupid mistake. So that was my fail of the week. A very specific fail of the week, so there we go.
As they say, you made a fool out of me, and you made a fool out of Mammy.
Who says that?
I can't remember where I got that from.
Just because he says it with an Irish accent, everyone assumes, oh, it must be a really old-timey thing. Like, he just talks nonsense.
No. It's like when... Okay, I've got my fail of the week. We were in the dojo, and AJ was training in the evenings. Can't remember what special occasion that was, but AJ was there, you were there, Ross, I was there, and Scott Sensei was teaching, and we were doing Basai Dai. Oh, it was when we were teaching for Ukraine. You were teaching for Ukraine, and we were all in the day. It was a Saturday Zoom seminar, and you did it. You taught a little bit of. Most people on the Zoom call had a partner that they were training with, at least one person. So you taught a little bit of bunkai. You were like, oh, by the way, this is like an ude barai for a maigari, and then bam, urak into the plums. And not that I don't trust anybody's control, but when you demonstrated on AJ or Ross or something, and then everybody on Zoom started practicing it, and sort of AJ and Ross kind of wandered back to the dojo, and I just didn't fucking want to. I was like, stay the fuck away from me. I'm not kicking anyone, and you're not coming anywhere near me. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to get my shin hit with a forearm, and I know, but nobody was going to hit me in the balls with the uraken. But I just like, I've lost completely my appetite for physical contact. It's an epidemic, the pandemic thing. I don't want it anymore. I don't want to practice bunkai. I don't want you to touch me. Personal space. And also, ouch, it hurts. It's like, yeah, gone pure soft.
And that's your fail.
That's my fail of the week. Yeah, fail of the week is.
We'll reacclimatise you next week.
Listen, the pandemic has been great for me in other ways. I'm faster than ever. I'm fitter than ever. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna. I train all the time, so it's not like I'm getting any worse. Slow, bit by bit, getting gradually better at karate. But yeah, I don't want to just keep your distance. Because I don't like it, and people are ouchy. People hurt. Maybe this is an emotional thing. Maybe this is baggage. I don't know. That's it.
My fail of the week was the other day. I was doing some sparring, and I foolishly tried to move in while the person was throwing the shirogiri. And I got hit right in the plums. Right in the plums. And I have to say, there's nothing more humbling or that slow motion, like you see the turn and you're like, oh no. You're trying to drop your hands, but your hands just won't move fast enough, and then so yeah, I got an awful knock in the plums, and yeah, that put a dampener on my day. Yeah. That's what happened to me.
Even Superman gets kicked in the plums from time to time.
But it was very fun. It was like me getting a bit too cocky, a bit too confident, thinking that I had the partner under control. I had I was like, yeah, you're not going to do anything to me. Watch me. Oh, you're going to try and spin. You're going to try and spin on me. Whoa. And then, sure enough, they spun a little bit faster than I thought. So, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Ladies and gents, that is it.
Thank you very much, Scott Sensei.
Pleasure.
For coming on. Once again, let's do it again. Let's keep it.
Yeah, we should.
We're around each other all the goddamn
together.
time. We should just stick the mic on every single time we're having a chat.
All right. Thanks for listening, folks. Deep bows and usses.
Ooh.